All right. Hi, you guys. So today is Friday, the 28th of October. It's 8:08 p.m. So really quick, I just want to mention this, okay? Even though I'm quitting my or leaving my part-time job, I do want to say how thankful I have been. And let me say why. This was a job that I was very fortunate to get because of my situation. Okay. At this point, I didn't have any job at all. Okay. I didn't have any job from October of 2021 up until December 15th until I started my full-time job on December 15th of 2021. Myself, I'm like, I don't think I'm ready for a full-time job. Just my mentality, I was like, I have to really just focus on myself. These, what, 2.5 months, I stopped working completely at Kohl's and Amazon. And I'm just like, Candace, because the IRS was, I got an approval to work for the IRS, and my start date was going to be January 3rd. But eventually, this new job, part-time job, accepted me as well. So I'm like, either I work for the IRS making $17.54 an hour, or I could work part-time at $17.50 an hour. And I was like, oh, the IRS, it's government job. You're gonna have good benefits. If you stay there long enough, you'll have good benefits. And I'm like, oh. But at the same time, like, am I ready to be full-time? This job, part-time job, is Monday through Friday, 9 to 1. Excellent, right? Excellent. And it's work from home. The IRS job, I don't know if it was going to be work at home. It didn't really specify. It said that you will learn more about it on your day one. So I'm like, I don't know if I want to be in the office. So, I accepted the job at my current job. And why do I want to say that I'm thankful? Okay, let's put this out there. All right. Me making $17.50 an hour. Now, I'm used to higher pay. At my full-time job, I was making close to $30 an hour. Okay? Close to $30 an hour. This part-time job, I was making $17.50 an hour. Now, in my mind, I'm like, that's definitely a decrease. But you know what, Candace? It's consistent. It's consistent hours. It's a consistent schedule. And you're working from home. When you were working at Kohl's, you had to be up early in the morning. It was physical, which I didn't mind. But for $10 an hour, I didn't feel like I was getting paid enough for my worth, right? And this is just me being kind of negative, but this is also me being real. Like, this is my main source of income. This is not my fun money anymore. This is my main source of income at this point, because I have quit my full-time job. And I'm like, $10 an hour ain't going to cut it for me to pay my bills and be busting my butt. And then with Amazon, I kind of went over that information with y'all, how I felt about the job. I liked it in the beginning, but after a while, I didn't care for it that much with the Amazon Fresh or the grocery part of it. Just because I'm a big girl and there was too little space. And I'm just like, it's not for me. It was good while it lasted, though. It was good while it lasted, but I was just like, So, I took off this time to focus on myself. And I'm like, Candace, it's been wonderful not working and being able to focus on myself and not have a hectic schedule. So I, accepted this job. And the reason why I say I'm thankful is because the income that I bring in still allowed me to be eligible for food stamps. And during this time frame, we were still getting the pandemic EBT, which we're once again getting the full allotment. So technically, with my income, I will only be eligible at that time for $25. Okay, $25 per month. But with the pandemic EBT, I was able to get 400 and something. So just think about all of this, right? If I wasn't able to get food stamps or the maximum food stamps, your girl will be using up a lot more of her savings. And I'm like, I'm still able to get free health care through Medicaid. And this is all that I'm saying. It's like I'm able to really still focus on myself and not give a full 8 hours to a company. Still be able to, get food stamps, and thankfully throughout this time, get pandemic EBT. Because I will say this, in the past when I used to work where my hours were getting decreased at my full-time job, if I would have applied for food stamps because I made too much hourly, even working 20 hours a week at my full-time job, I wouldn't have been eligible. So I'm to myself, I'm like, everything works out for a reason. Okay, everything works out for a reason. Second thing is, why I've been here at this job, not my manager, but my manager's manager has brought to my attention twice. Now, you figure I hadn't even been there a full year, okay? I started in December. I didn't really get out on the floor by myself until like end of February. So you figure back in, what was it, June or July, upper management asked me if I wanted to pick me and some other people to help out with the newer class, to help them listen to my phone calls, if they want to ask me questions, things like that. And to be noticed, that felt good to me. It felt good to me. It kind of boosted my confidence. And I'm like, man, I'm really doing something right now. Don't get me wrong. I knew I was doing stuff right, even though the job is not ideal. We don't have all of the resources that we need to be efficient, efficient as they want us to be. This job is not the way I would do customer service. So I will say, I'll get to that in a bit. So that was one thing. I accepted, and then I declined that offer. And then you figure like a month later, I think it was like July or August, upper management once again asked me to help out, this time to be an overflow for another department. So they would give me training in another department, which is good, right? I'm like, man, I'm being noticed again. Like my worth is up there, right? And I felt good. And this was kind of starting September. Now, as of August 15th, I was out of work. I didn't just come back to work until the 19th of October. So, because of my short-term disability. But it allowed me to realize that, Candace, you are worth it. Like, you're worth it. Like, even though the job is not ideal, you're still doing good, to the fact that not your manager, but your upper management is taking notice of you. And that put me in such a good spot mentally. Even though this job would give me anxiety, no lie, I feel like I was gonna pee myself every single day. I was getting worked up. You ever feel like you just gotta move? Like, I was just so, it was horrible. I'm like, for 4 hours a day, as soon as that 1 o'clock hit, I'm logged out. And eventually, what I started doing in June 1st, I started going to the gym just to get on the bike. And I did an hour just to relax myself, you guys. And that did wonders for me. Because before I would get off of work, I would sit down and I would still be fidgeting and all of this stuff and worked up. But when I started going to the gym as of June, July, and up until August 15th, for those, 2.5 months, it did wonders for my anxiety, you guys. It did wonders. And I felt good. I felt productive. And then also, let me tell you this. When I was in training, the trainer wanted my feedback on things. She was like, Candace, do you mind if I come to you and, get feedback from you? And I'm like, sure. Because, with my full-time job, I was always work at home for 9 years. Ever since I started with them, I was work at home. And, I let them know, hey, this is something that we should, to help us be better associates. These are some changes you guys can make, right? how to make resources. We need resources so that we can answer these customers' questions on our own without having to ask you. If we have a resource, something that we could turn to, we can answer the questions by ourselves, you know? I'm like, you want us to be efficient, but we don't have everything to be efficient. And so she was like, I'm gonna reach out to you. What ended up happening was not my manager, but my upper management. She had reached out to me like once or twice to get feedback, you know, and I appreciated that. And let me tell you something. I don't care about management. I'm not there to be anybody's friend. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like when you're in a work at home environment, because at my full-time job previously, it felt like we were all in the office, like we were in chatting it up. You know what I mean? We would put in their questions, somebody would answer them, management would be in there just to conversate. At this job, management doesn't conversate with you. The only time you really hear from your manager is once a month when they're going over your stats or when you did something wrong. And who wants that? Like, there's nothing personal. Like, how are you doing? Are you okay? None of that, you guys. And I was just like, so let's just say morale at this job is not the best. But you know what? At the end of the day, I was like, Candace, Candace, that's okay. It's okay. Now, my whole thing was, Candace, you're doing this you want to be part-time for up to a year to 2 years. And that's just for me to focus on myself. In the back of my head, I'm like, Candace, you can stay with this company. I ain't gonna front. I'm not gonna front. I'm like, Candace, you can stay with this company, go full time, and eventually move up the ranks. That's how I'm feeling I can be, right? Because I'm like, if management understands where I'm at, like, girl, it's not gonna be hard for you to move up if you want to. I don't want to, but this is my thinking, right? And I'm like, oh, I wonder how, it would be for like raises. So this is all in my head, and I'm just like, but really, after a while, I'm like, can I actually see myself working for this company for years on end? Because my whole thing was like, Candace, the next job you have, I would like to be there for a couple of years. I don't want to bounce around. Now, you talk about Amazon, Kohl's, that's totally different. These are not my forever jobs. This job, I thought, hey, this is a company. It's in the finance world. Candace, this is a job that you can stay with for years. This is my original thought. But once I've got into it, you guys, I'm like, and every single time I would think, Candace, man, you can turn full time because eventually you're going to need money, right? You're going to need money. Everything's increasing. You don't know if food stamps are going to last for, like, the pandemic EBT will last forever. Your son's eventually going to get his license. Your insurance is going to go up. And I'm just like, I don't want to dig into my emergency fund. So these were things I was going through right in my head. But I'm just like, man, if I'm already feeling so anxious with this job already, do I want years on end of this? You know what I mean? And I'm just like, I don't think so. But you know what? I'm thankful that I've had this experience. I've had this job because it allowed me to know that I'm still adaptable, that I still got it. You know what I mean? Like, when you think so down on yourself all the time, like, oh my goodness, can I say this? Like, the worst part of me quitting my full-time job was the pay decrease. Like, in the back of my head, I'm like, Candace, you're going to have to start all over. It took me 9 years to get to where I was at, right? Now I'm starting off, like, when you look on these other jobs, work at home jobs, they're starting off at $15 an hour. And I'm like, it was kind of stressful, you guys. I'm no lie. I'm like, oh my goodness. But you know what? At the end of the day, if you look at the big picture, I'm like, Candace, you were still able, because your income was so small or your per hour rate was so small, you qualified for food stamps. Okay, you qualified. In turn, able you were able to, get the pandemic EBT. You're able to get medical Medicaid. And you just have, sometimes you just have to sit back, right? And be thankful for what you had. You had this time to be part-time, to, even though this job was not ideal, you had time. You only had to give them 4 hours of your day. The rest of it was yours. I would have never thought I could have been part-time, you guys. Never. Now, let alone, I got myself to this point of being financially stable to do it. That's a different story. And I've talked about that. But just looking at the overall picture, I am so thankful that I've had this job. Even though I'm going to be quitting it, I'm looking for something better. I know this is what I say in the back of my mind, and this is just being honest. The grass is not always greener on the other side, and that's okay. It's okay, you guys. And my next step in life, I don't know if it's going to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect, but is it going to be any better than what I've just come from? I don't know. But I know I still got it. Like, my management and the training manager, they understood that, Candace, you got something. Like, you got something. And I don't think highly of myself, but other people, like the girl I started off with, she's like, Candace, you don't understand how good you are. But in the back of my head, y'all, I'm like, well, I'm not that good. I'm not that good. And this job really allowed me to understand, like, Candace, with this company, you have 8 programs that you have to use every day. Out of the 8, there's only one that you don't use on every call. It's sporadic that you will ever use it, but the other 7 is a must. And I'm like, Candace, you were able to go out your comfort zone, start a new job, learn something new, and still conquer it. Like, that's huge for me, you guys, because I never thought I was capable. Because being with the company for so long, it's hard to think that you can get used to something else. You know what I mean? Thinking outside the box, thinking differently. Even though it's in the finance world, that's what made it easier. But still, I don't understand. I don't know how to put it. Like, I'm just so happy that I did have this chance. So I am thankful for having this job. It made me think better about myself. Okay. Not more highly of myself, but knowing what I'm capable of, and knowing that others recognize it as well. And so sometimes, you may encounter something, or you may get something, and you don't understand the full gist of it, right? You don't understand the good that comes out of it. So sometimes you just have to sit back and be like, man, you know what? You benefited from this, you benefited from this. And on top of that, while I've been working here, this job offers benefits, like for like how many steps you do. So basically, for healthy living, there's like certain things you can earn up to $200 every 3 months. I'm in the 4th quarter. So you figure, for the first 3 quarters, I got my $600 already. The last quarter, out of the last 200, I have already earned 100. And before I leave, as of December the 11th, I want to get my last $50 so I can get an Amazon gift card so that I can buy my girl some more food. Okay. So I'm like, at the end of the day, Candace, you were able to still benefit from this job even more with Amazon gift cards, was able to get gift cards for other things. So I'm like, you gotta take advantage of what's out there, you guys. Okay. Hopefully this all makes sense. But at the end of the day, y'all, no matter how much I would want to complain about the job, I do have to take a look at the positives that I got out the job. Okay. And I'm thankful. So yeah, hopefully this all makes sense. I don't know. All right, I'm gonna talk to you guys soon.